Hello and welcome back to a brand new episode of the Couch Brotatopodcast. Coming up on today's show, an overstressed suburbanite and his neighbor struggle to prove their theory that the new family in town is actually a front for a cannibalistic cult. That's right, gang, we're talking the 1989 Tom Hanks cult classic The Burbs, right here, right now on the Couch Brotato Podcast.
Spend a quiet week at home with Tom Hanks in The Burbs. It's a comedy about what happens to an ordinary neighborhood when a very unordinary family moves in.
Neighbors from hell. Your neighbors are murdering people.
We got a real problem.
I hit the gas line, I'd run! Tom Hanks, The Burbs. Bring it home on video cassette from MCA Home Video.
Hey Adam, let me ask you a question.
All right, shoot.
Have you ever had a neighbor that you were a little suspicious of?
I have actually.
Do tell.
Yeah. Well, I used to live in these townhouses. They were really, really close together. And there would be some strange sounds coming from the other side of the wall that we shared. I just wasn't sure what was going on over there. And more often than not, it was late at night too.
That seems to be the thing I had where I lived at. We used to have these neighbors that moved in, and the people that lived there before, like, just kind of vanished. Like, we don't know what happened to them. They were, because I lived where my grandparents used to live. The people that lived next door to us were my grandparents' best friends. Like, thick as thieves. They always would shoot the shit across the fence, and then one day they were just gone. And then this older couple moved in, and they only seemed to come out real late at night.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think they were murderous or anything, but they were just super weird. And I'd always see them 16, 17 years old. You're starting to go out and party, maybe smoking a little weed, getting in some trouble, and you would come home super late. And I'd always find those people out on their front porch, just smoking cigarettes.
That's weird.
And
smoking cigarettes late at night, just on the porch.
Yeah, I thought they were old, they kept weird hours until about a year after they lived there. Family down the street, their dad comes banging on the guy's door, and he just wasn't answering the door, and he's trying to break into this dude's house. Apparently, this guy had his sons do some yard work for him, and to pay, he paid them with a stack of fucking porno mags. And the dad found out about it and was trying to kick this guy's ass for giving his kids pornography. But yeah, that's the long and short of it. Reason I ask is today's episode we are discussing the 1989 cult classic The Burbs, which stars Tom Hanks, which I know has been on my radar to do on this show for quite a long time. It's one of my favorite underrated movies from the 80s, but it seems like it's never available for streaming for a long period of time.
Yeah, when I was looking at this, I think it's only available on one streaming service right now, but I was wanting to see if I had it on Vudu. Apparently I don't. And the only way to get it is to buy it off the website. There's no actual way to purchase it through anything else.
Yeah, it was it seems like it'll be on Peacock or like right now you can stream it on Netflix. Kind of got a little bit ahead of myself on the tail of the tape, but it's been off streaming for a while, so then I seen it magically appeared on Netflix. It just got added, so I remember I texted you, I was we got to do it now because next month it may not be available for people to watch.
Right.
What was your first memory of watching The Burbs?
This is another one that I saw on TV. It came out the year before I was born, so I'm dating myself as kind of young, I guess, maybe. But I love Tom Hanks, and so it instantly caught my eye. Um, I don't remember what channel it was on, but I do remember watching it. I was in my grandfather's den, and it popped on. He usually watched any movie that came on TV. He watched, so
Mm-hmm.
um, I ended up watching it with him. Um, Instantly loved it. It kind of reminded me of the Munsters in a way, or the Adams family, just the way that the neighbors were. So I was hooked. I mean, I was a kid.
Yeah, this one for me used to be one of the when we first we had maybe Showtime and HBO for like maybe a year or so, but this movie was on constant rotation. It seemed like it was always on in the middle of the afternoon after I got home from school. So I'd always catch it. Like, I don't think I seen it from beginning to end in its entirety until like maybe 7 or 8 months after it come on cable. But I'd always seen like parts of it to where like I pieced it together where I had seen it so many times. Like, oh, well, yeah, like, okay. I came in when they go to the Bruce Dern and Tom Hanks's characters go to the Klopex house. Like, okay.
Yeah.
Or then like, oh, here's the scene where we get introduced to Corey Feldman. Or, oh, hey, this is where Walter's gone.
Yeah.
And then I would watch a little bit of it from there, and I'd always piece the whole thing together. But I remember just fucking loving this movie because it was just, it's done by the Joe Dante, same guy who did Gremlins, and it's kind of odd, but it's also like nothing that Joe Dante had done before. It's very macabre. And like you said, it kind of has that Addams Family Munsters vibe to it a little bit, which I kind of dug.
Yeah, it's like a Scooby-Doo kind of horror, not like, scary in the traditional sense.
Yeah, and I think as I've gotten older too, I can relate to it a little more because I've had my days where I've just kind of sat around. As a matter of fact, where I'm recording right now, I can look and there's a family that lives on the corner of my neighborhood. It's an older man and a woman, and they fight all the fucking time. And it's not like, one of those things where like he forgot to get something at the grocery store and she gets pissed off at him. They're like literally yelling profanities at each other. Clean as, you can hear them plain as day. And I found myself numerous times when they go at it, like I just kind of crack my window open.
Yeah.
Enjoy a beverage or two. Just instead of anything that's on TV, I'll sit and watch that.
I want so much to be Corey Feldman watching The Neighborhood. Like, I would love to have that kind of interest in just regular everyday. Like he invites his girlfriend over. She's like, "Hey, you want to go see a movie?" And like, he's like, "No, this is better." I wish I was like that. I wish I had that kind of attitude.
Oh, I wish I had lived in a neighborhood that was that fucking interesting.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Like I live in a neighborhood where it's essentially like the youngest person in the neighborhood besides me and my wife and my 2 kids is probably in their 60s.
Yeah.
So they're probably in bed by the time anything interesting would happen.
You haven't seen anybody try and use an incinerator in their basement or anything after hours?
No, because the people that live around here, they probably wouldn't know how to use one. And they would like come over like, "Hey, can you help me with this incinerator? Like I can't get it to work." And you're young, you know about technology. That's not really technology, but okay, I guess I'll come over here and help you burn your cat.
Can't get my incinerator to stop blinking 12 o'clock.
I just can't get the time figured out. And for some reason, like I'm afraid if I hit the wrong button, I'm just going to ruin it and I'll have to have them take it back.
I'll have to find an incinerator for my incinerator.
And then I got to find their number in the phone book and like, wait a minute, you still have a phone book?
For our younger listeners, phone books were sent to everybody's house and you could look through them and it would list all the phone numbers.
Last summer, we came back from somewhere and there was a phone book sitting in my driveway. I'm like, what the fuck is this? Like, people still use these?
What year is it?
Yeah. I picked it up and I brought it in the house, and my wife, Jen's like, just throw it away. We're never going to use that. Yeah, like, I think the only thing it would be good for now is like as a weapon. Like if you needed to, like I've seen enough Seagal movies to where like I could, if someone ever broke into the house, I could maybe use it as a weapon, like roll it up and like
roll it up and yeah,
thwart a knife attack.
exactly.
All right, let's get into these categories, shall we? Lot to dig into on this movie. The Tale of the Tape. I had someone reach out to me via email, which is very rare. But if you ever want to communicate with us on the show, feel free. Best ways to contact us are in the show notes, the description that you get your podcast. So feel free to email us. But they asked the question why we never tell people what the movie's rated.
Oh, that's true. Yeah, we never do.
So yeah, I think we'll add that to the Tale of the Tape going forward. So thank you, Jose from Puerto Rico. If you're listening, thank you for the little tip. The Burbs is rated PG-13. Was released on February the 17th, 1989. Coming up on an anniversary. I didn't know that this movie was almost 35 years old, if my math is right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not a math whiz. I just play one on TV.
Well, I mean, I was born a year afterwards, and I'm 33, going to be 34 this year. So, yeah, 35.
All right, good deal. I still got it. This movie stars Tom Hanks, Rick Dukeman, Bruce Dern, Carrie Fisher, and Corey Feldman. As we stated, was directed by Joe Dante. Rotten Tomatoes score of 55% from critics, which I thought was a bit harsh.
It was a little harsh. I can see it from critics, but it doesn't deserve it.
Yeah, I had when I was reading, trying to get notes about some fun facts, I did see that this movie got critically panned.
Yeah,
but still a moderate hit at the box office. But that was before people like Rotten Tomatoes was a thing. So, but audiences seemed to love it though. They gave it a 71% favorable rating. The consensus was The Burbs has an engaging premise, likable cast, and Joe Dante at the helm. So the mixed-up genre exercise they produce can't help but feel like a disappointment. Well, you're fucking wrong, Rotten Tomatoes.
Indeed.
This movie had a $18 million budget and made $49.1 million at the box office. Wasn't up for any major awards. And as we stated, you can watch this movie on Netflix right now. And I highly recommend if you're going to watch it as soon as possible because this thing seriously like pops up on streaming and then disappears. I couldn't really find anything regarding the rights to it. Like it's a Universal movie, so I figured that, hey, it's a Universal title. It shouldn't be, as hard to get a hold of as it is, but it apparently is. So this is one of those movies that I still presents the case that there is a valid reason to have physical media in your home.
Yes.
Because if you want to watch it, you can pop it in your Blu-ray or 4K player at any time.
I think, that's not that expensive for the 4K Blu-ray online if you go and look for it.
Now, is that one of those, because I know there's a couple of companies like Shout, and there's another one that does like their really cool covers for these movies in 4K. So yeah, I mean you could buy the 4K transfer. Well, not at Best Buy because they took their physical media out, but just go to like Barnes and Noble, Amazon, buy it so that way you've always got it handy. So if you listen to us 2 years from now, when this movie's not on Netflix, or Netflix just adds it back, yeah, you can't find it. There you go.
You'll thank us later. Yeah.
Yeah, you can just go to your old trusty DVD rack that you got from IKEA. Got it on sale on Black Friday weekend. Just grab your copy of The Burbs that you bought from Barnes & Noble. Pop it into your PlayStation 5 or 6. Check it out.
Yep.
Thanks, Barnes & Noble. I think
if you're still around.
Yeah. Yeah, if you're still around, Barnes & Noble, I gave you a plug. You can send us like a gift card for a couple of free Blu-rays or like a book or The Barnes and Noble. I don't think there's a Barnes and Noble close to us.
The closest one is about 20 miles away.
Is it at the Green?
No, there's one in Beaver Creek.
Okay. I know there's one bookstore, and the
yeah.
Green has a one of those
it's-
frozen yogurt joints.
Yeah, Books and Company. Yeah.
Okay.
Books A Million owns it.
Yeah, different book provider, but I bet they still sell movies too. So you can also get the Burbs from them.
Yeah, and we can even have our hot off the press takes sponsored by Barnes and Noble this time.
Oh, I like it. We're gonna go with that one today. Hot off the presses, presented by Books and Company and Barnes and Noble, where you can find your physical media needs can be met. You can buy books, frozen yogurts, sit down, listen to a vinyl record or two, even get yourself a Funko Pop. But we'll save those for a little bit. But yeah, if you want to watch it, you can watch it on Netflix. The only spot you can get it right now. So check it out. Did you know? Some fun facts and tidbits regarding the behind-the-scenes production of the Burbs. This was interesting. The film was shot in sequence and was filmed during the writer's strike of 1988. It was rushed into production to avoid a Writers Guild of America strike. And I guess they found a way to kind of tweak the script a little bit. The screenwriter, Dana Olson, was also cast in the movie.
Okay.
And I guess Joe Dante encouraged the cast to improvise a lot of their dialogue. So,
yeah, the dialogue seems a bit more natural.
mm-hmm. And I guess one of the big things was the Tom Hanks and Carrie Fisher bit where they're watching Jeopardy. That was improvised.
Okay, I like that bit. That's probably one of my favorite bits between them.
Yeah, and you know what? Like when I was a kid, I thought it was so lame for people to watch Jeopardy. But my wife and my kids and I always go visit her grandparents on Friday night. We do a Friday night dinner with them, and they always watch Wheel of Fortune and Jeopardy.
Yeah.
And whenever they're watching Jeopardy, like there could be my kids could be literally seconds away from killing one another, but I would be more wrapped up in the category of World War II battle scenes or battle sites.
Yeah.
And I'd be trying to figure out the answers to that. I just get so engrossed in it. So I kind of see where they're coming from now. It must be an old, as you get older, the more fascinated you become with Jeopardy.
Oh yeah, I constantly stick on Jeopardy if I'm channel surfing and it's like, oh, Jeopardy's on. All right.
Yeah, like I feel like I always when I see the categories, like I'll just look at them like, I know I'm going to suck at that one. I know I'll suck at that one. Oh, movie quotes. I'm going to ace this one. Like, sport team nicknames. Okay, I'm going to do good on that one. And then they'll have that weird potables or, potpourri or whatever. Like, okay, I have no clue what this is going to be. But Joe Dante, according to him, Tom Hanks was hesitant to do the movie because it was the first time on film Tom Hanks was going to play a dad. And Tom Hanks was concerned that playing a father would prevent him from taking on different types of roles later in his career, which obviously for those of you that are not familiar with Tom Hanks' work, he basically was the biggest movie star in the world from, was that 92 to 99? So, yeah, Tom Hanks kind of got proven wrong on that. We also have that the music that plays when Rumsfeld is introduced, and throughout the movie is a variation on the main theme of Patton, which is composed by the Burbs composer, Jerry Goldsmith.
Yes. And composer of one of our other movies, The Mummy, that we did not too long ago. You can
That's
listen
right.
Anywhere.
Walter's toy poodle, Queenie. You may recognize this dog, was also the same poodle owned by Buffalo Bill in Silence of the Lambs.
Huh.
Yeah.
Okay.
The most famous toy poodle in the world is Queenie.
Crap in people's lawns.
You take one more dump on my lawn, and I'm going to staple his ass shut. Apparently, Tom Hanks and Rick Dukeman really didn't get along during the filming, according to Joe Dante, but Hanks was a pro, and he kept it loose. And then the last one that I have is Wendy Shaw, played Rumsfeld's wife, was cast in American Dad. She's the voice of Francine because Seth MacFarlane is a huge fan of this movie.
Oh, okay.
So there you go. That's the fun facts that I have. Adam, do you have anything you want to add?
Yeah, I again have facts that are just just plain goofs. Some stuff that I've recognized when I was watching the movie. I watched it a couple times before we started recording, and some other ones that I grabbed from the good old interwebs. One of the goofs that I found out was Walter actually rides home in a car with a different license plate, even though it's the same exact car. Maybe he was off at the DMV and not the hospital. One of the biggest goofs that I've noticed is that while they got attacked by the swarm of bees the first time they try and go to the Klopex house, they only have a couple of bee stings, and I think they even spit them out. I'm pretty sure, and they don't have any bee stings in their mouth. Doesn't make any sense. They're just like, yeah, I just got attacked by a swarm of bees, and I'm fine the next day with just a couple of different Band-Aids on.
It's because they're made of antimanthium. Same shit Wolverine's made of.
That's it.
We're cross-pollinating genres and like studios. Like it's an X-Men creepy neighbor hybrid.
It's going to be in the same universe. The Burbs for the MCU.
I think it's actually this same plot line's the plot line for Deadpool 3.
There you go. Sorry, Ryan Reynolds. We spoiled it here on the Couch Potato Podcast.
Well, I'm just going to blame Blake Lively. She sent us a DM.
Oh, okay.
She just wanted to fuck with her husband, so she sent us a DM.
My next one was when Art cuts power lines. Mark is wearing a green beret, and the next scene on the roof, his beret is black. And then a couple of moments later, when they cut back to him, it's green again. Just switching colors.
Well, maybe that's just like it's a code, like black proceed with caution, green is safe.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, he is very methodical in his activities.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe he has a code system with his berets. On the same around the same time, anyways, when he's on the roof, his rifle actually changes direction as it's sliding down in between cuts. Let's see. The neighbor's door knocker is actually later replaced by a bell. Don't know if they just randomly decided to add a doorbell, but there isn't one at the beginning, and they use the door knocker, and then later it's like, okay, we're gonna ring the doorbell now. Mm-hmm. Don't know, but that's all I had.
All right,
my little few goofs that here and there.
Good stuff. When you said that Art cuts the power line, little tidbit, second time in about a year that Rick Dukeman played a character that was involved somehow with electricity. The year before, he was the guy in Die Hard, that Agent Johnson, the white one.
Oh, yeah.
Tells him to cut the power grid. That's Rick Dukeman.
Yeah. Okay. And also, I watched Groundhog Day on Groundhog Day because, it's February, and noticed he is one of the two drunk guys that Bill Murray goes out with. And also in that movie, there's a scene with Jeopardy. So,
Yeah, it's all everything's tying together.
exactly.
Well, Rick Dukeman was actually going to be my nominee for the IMDb Drug Dealer #2 award because before I did research on this, the only thing I remember seeing him in was in Die Hard. And I thought, like,
Okay.
why the hell did, like, this guy had a bit role in Die Hard? Why is he, essentially, he's the second lead of this movie.
Yeah.
But apparently he was a fairly up-and-coming comedian at the time.
Had no idea.
Yeah, he was on, I think he had an HBO special, and I think he was part of, I think HBO used to run a young comedians, like, showcase back in the 80s, and I know he was a part of that. And I think he had a stand-up special that was shown on there. And I think he was like kind of an up-and-coming comedian that was going to break into the movies. But I seriously didn't know that until like a week ago.
Neither did I. I actually just like made the connection as I was watching Groundhog Day. Like, hey, it's that guy. Okay, cool.
It's art.
Yeah. And I mean, I'm pretty sure that he's gonna win the award because he specifically fits the bill.
I was going to nominate him, but then there's another character, and I'll reveal it when we get to that point. That
Okay.
I remember seeing in another movie, and I couldn't put two and two together until I researched. Like, oh, okay, that's who that person is.
Yeah.
And I think you'll get it when I reveal that. The Martin Scorsese Award. This is cinema for the best scene of the movie. There are some really good ones. My particular nominee for this category is going to be the Klopek meet and greet, the dinner party.
Okay.
The reason I nominated that one is my favorite character in this movie is Bruce Dern's Rumsfeld.
Yeah.
And this is basically a scene where they just let Bruce Dern cook for like 10 minutes. He is on fire in this scene. From the time they knock on the door and his foot goes through the porch. And I don't know if you've done this, but I'm guilty of doing this. So people that know me, it's because I've seen this movie. But if I'm in somebody's house and it's big enough and I don't feel 100% comfortable there, I start to roam around, kind of exploring the house a little bit, and it's because of this movie. And when he's going around, he's like, I would never peel somebody's fucking wallpaper, which he does.
Yeah.
And then he puts it back like all confused, like, what the fuck did I do? And
what am I doing right now?
And he taps on the furnace, and then he basically accuses them of murdering Walter in their own house.
Yeah.
Or he accuses them of doing some shady shit in the neighborhood.
Yeah.
And just
yells
for that,
at him about what's happening in the basement.
Yeah. I mean, Bruce Dern's not really featured too much prior to that, but yeah, this is just a Bruce Dern showcase. And I don't understand why he didn't do more comedy after this, because he's fucking amazing in this.
Yeah, he's super funny. He's one of the funniest people of this movie.
Yeah. For that reason, that's my nominee. I also like the whole sequence when they go, basically, Ray sends his wife to her sisters, and Mark, Art, and Ray decide they're going to break into the Klopek's house to find Walter's body. I do like that one, but for more or less for some of the same reasons I like the Klopek scene. Like, for some reason, Rumsfeld's sitting on the roof, and he's drinking coffee and eating fucking animal crackers.
Yeah.
And then the whole scene where he fucking slips off the roof, it just cracks me up too. But for this particular category, I'm nominating the Klopek. Is it a dinner party, or is it a meet and greet, or because they have the sardines?
Yeah, they have the sardines, and then they have the brownies, the ruined brownies.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's like a meet and greet.
Okay, we'll call it the Klopek meet and greet then. That's my nominee.
Okay. My nominee for this category is gonna be where they decide they're gonna go break into the Klopek's house and find Walt's body. Um, I think that just the whole climax with him hitting the gas line and the entire thing just erupting in this massive explosion. And the icing on the cake is when like it's already exploded, fire's coming out of the windows, and then the roof kind of caves in a little bit, and then the cop goes, "Is that your house?"
Uh,
And then just the look on his face is like, "Yes, that was my house."
well, that scene too, like when Hanks comes out of the house, I've never seen anybody like kind of just basically slide down the steps so gracefully as he does.
Yeah.
Because he seriously like just takes one step and just like kind of slips down the
Slides.
steps, but like doesn't fall.
Yeah. And he says one of my favorite lines, but that's a different category. But yeah, that's my nominee for this category. Here's the whole climax there, and then the explosion.
That's a pretty good scene too. I'm sticking with mine though. I just simply
Okay.
for like just Bruce Dern's 10 minutes.
All right. Yeah, no, I'll give it to that for sure.
Yeah,
Because there's other things that I like about my scene. So
and it's such a good scene that on YouTube there's a best of Rumsfeld YouTube clip, and the majority of that 6 minute clip is lines from that fucking the Klopek's house scene.
yeah.
So for that reason, I'm gonna stay firm. I've got to defend this one. It's the Klopek dinner scene.
Okay. Okay. Klopek dinner scene it is.
The Andy Dufresne "Get Busy Living" or "Get Busy Dying" award for best or most quotable line of the movie. There's a lot to choose from on here. I'll let you go first.
Okay. Um, I have a couple. I think I know what yours is, so I'm gonna leave that for you. That's kind of one of mine too. But both of them are Tom Hanks lines. The first one is when he's spying on them taking out the garbage, and it starts to storm outside, and they're all three of them are just looking at uh, him taking the garbage down the driveway, and then uh, Tom Hanks is like, "I've never seen that before. Never seen that before. Just drive the garbage down the driveway and then beat the hell out of it with a stick."
I've actually never seen that either.
Neither have I, but it's such a good line. It always gets me. And then my second line is also Tom Hanks at the end after he's shambled out of the house, and he's badly hurt, and he's like, "I've been blown up. Will somebody take me to the hospital?" And he like throws the gurney into the ambulance.
It just hops on it.
And, yeah.
I actually had the beat the hell out of it with a stick line as my choice. But when I tried to rewatch it, the line that always makes me laugh is when Rumsfeld falls through the porch with the plate of brownies. He goes, "Oh, there goes the goddamn brownies." It's not so much the line itself, but it's his delivery of the line.
Yeah, it's perfect.
So
It's good.
that's my nominee for it. But I'm willing to give it to the Tom Hanks line because that was my original choice.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, like I don't know why that line. Like I've seen this movie hundreds of times, and it's still the line that makes me laugh out loud. Because like when you've seen like a comedy so many times, like the stuff that's funny is still funny, but like some of the stuff
Yeah.
that it kind of loses its luster because you kind of know. Comedy for me is like it's the setup and then like the punchline that you don't expect.
Mhm.
But then when you
Yeah.
like the rhythm after a while, it's like okay, it's you chuckle, but you go about it. But that line
Yeah.
still cracks me up.
I think that this movie is one of those rare movies where like the subject matter is universal. So like everybody has neighbors. and everybody has like maybe that one weird neighbor or that neighbor they don't like very well. And all of the humor in this movie is just that uncomfortable, like awkward feeling, and just that kind of, you need to break the tension, but the tension's still there. And so every single joke just like breaks the tension really, really well. It's one of those rare movies that the humor still holds up.
Yeah, it's like not for me so much, but when I was a kid, it seemed like there was always like the group of neighbors that were always friends.
Yeah.
Then they had the one neighbor that seemed to be like they had everything was perfect, and it seemed to be they were the point of jealousy for certain people in the neighborhood. Like Rumsfeld's jealous of Walter's immaculate yard. It's because he sends his dog over there basically shit in Rumsfeld's grass. There's the punk kid that's like doing chores around the house, which that probably would have been me and my buddies. If you combine them in the one role, that would have been me and my little group of friends. And then, you have like the Petersons and the Rumsfelds, and I forget what Art's last name is, but like they're kind of like a group of friends, and I get that.
Yeah.
The McLovin Award for the best supporting or scene-stealing performance. I don't think that the Klopeks, the three characters that play the three actors that play the Klopeks, really qualify.
Right.
I'm probably going to break my rule because he's in this movie almost too much to qualify for this, but I'm giving it to Bruce Dern.
See,
simply because. Go ahead.
I disagree just because he's in it too much, but go ahead and argue your point, Jimmy.
Well, the only other person that I can see maybe having a case is Corey Feldman.
Yeah, he's my nominee.
Because to this day, I still refer to this movie, I still refer to a pizza delivery driver as the pizza dude. I say, the pizza dude will be here in 30 minutes. And it's because of this movie. Well, I don't know. There's not enough Corey Feldman for me to where I think his performance is very memorable. A lot of what he does is he sets up the Rumsfeld jokes.
Yeah.
Like him and his friends set up the stuff that basically he's serving up fastballs to Bruce Dern, and Bruce Dern's knocking him out of the park.
Okay.
Because he has a little bit. He has that one scene with Dukeman and Tom Hanks, where for some weird reason they never really say how old Ricky is, but he's drinking a beer with Art.
Yeah, he's probably 17.
Yeah, and that's the first I've seen this movie hundreds of times. And that's the first time I noticed that he was drinking a beer. Wait a minute, how old is Ricky?
Yeah.
But I don't know. I guess we could give it to Feldman simply because he kind of qualifies for the award. But
I mean, I'm willing to give it to Bruce Dern, but I mean, my argument for Corey Feldman is that he does have good one-liners ish, but my argument is the same as before when I was talking about it. He just loves that street. He loves watching everybody, and the background of him gathering people to watch what's going on is so funny to me. It's no, you don't need to go to the mall. You don't need to go to the arcade. You don't need to go to that movie. You need to come over to my house. We're gonna order pizza and we're gonna watch these dudes break into a house. I just love that idea.
I guess when you put it like that, I guess the premise kind of is pretty hysterical. Okay, we can give it to Feldman. I really wanted to use this more as an opportunity to talk about how great Bruce Dern is in this, but we kind of went over that in the best scene of the movie.
Yeah. No, he's great, and I mean, he's probably one of the best actors in this movie, but he's in it a lot, so I don't know.
He is, yeah. Okay, for the sake of making sure we stay true to the category, we will give it to Corey Feldman.
Okay.
The IMDb Drug Dealer #2 award for the actor or actress you have seen in a movie, but you have no idea who the hell they are. Now, we discussed in this previously that before, like, researching this, that I had only seen Rick Dukeman in this and Die Hard. And then you said that you also seen him in Groundhog Day.
Right.
That's a perfect criteria to be nominated for this award. However, because he is the lead, like essentially the #2 in this movie, I didn't really feel like it qualifies, because I would feel that this award's for somebody that might be, on the screen for like maybe 5 minutes or so. Like, comes in, if it's a basketball analogy, like comes in, he kind of gets a couple jumpers in, like gets you a couple points off the bench, and he's back on the bench. So I didn't think Rick Dukeman qualified for that. So my nominee is Courtney Gaines, who plays Hans, the young Klopek boy, which he actually has a very funny line in that too, where when Bruce Dern asked him about the pretty girl in the picture, he said it's the picture, it came in the frame.
Yeah.
But you may remember Courtney Gaines as Malachi in The Children of the Corn.
Oh. He has that face, doesn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because when I seen that, I was watching this, like, God damn, that guy looks familiar. So then I went through his IMDb, and like, I'm just looking, and like, he's been in some stuff. I'm like, okay, no one's going to know what that is. And then you get to 1987, like, Malachi, Children of the Corn. I was like, fuck, that's where I know him from.
Yeah, he's probably in something else that I've seen him in too. I can't think of it, but you're right. He does have that familiar face, and then as soon as you said, it's like, oh yeah,
Yeah, and that explains it.
yeah,
That's why the Klopeks are creepy, is because their fucking nephew is not Hans, it's Malachi, and he just changed his name to blend into that neighborhood.
yep.
So that's my nominee.
I wholeheartedly agree. We'll go with that.
Yeah, because like the only other person would have been the detective that's interrogating Tom Hanks. His name's Rance Howard. He's Ron Howard's dad.
Yeah,
He's been in a bunch of stuff in the 80s too, but I think the people that listen to the show probably wouldn't remember anything that he's in. And I'm probably willing to bet that some of the people that listen to the show have no idea who Ron Howard is.
probably not.
So, yeah. I'm going to, not everybody, we've got an awesome audience, don't get me wrong, but there's a couple listeners that I know are going to listen to this show that probably don't know who Ron Howard is.
Yeah,
And one of them is a particular person that pretty much would rather us do comic book movies every week.
I know exactly who you're talking about.
Big shout out to JM in Springfield, Ohio.
Yeah, that's gonna be the person that wins the award for drug dealer #2. But there is Tom Hanks' wife. I can't think of what she's in though. Some dumb movie from the 70s probably.
Oh yeah, it's got like a hairy dog and a ship, and
Yeah, some kind of laser beams and a big golf ball at the end.
they're using fluorescent light bulbs as swords.
Yeah, yeah, and the bad guys can't find shit in the desert.
Yeah, there's that guy that wears that asthma mask.
Yeah, can't breathe very well.
Yeah, must be the dry atmosphere.
Hate sand.
Unsolved mysteries of the movie. I think I kind of already asked that. Like, how old is Ricky Butler? Because he's drinking a beer.
Yeah, yeah.
And
I think 17, maybe.
Yeah, and I'm willing to bet Art's just like he wants to be the cool neighbor.
Yeah, just letting him have a beer.
And it's like, oh, I'm gonna try to impress this kid. Like, I want him to think that I'm cool, so I'm gonna give him. I believe they're drinking Miller.
Yeah, maybe. I don't remember.
But
But,
that's my unsolved
yeah.
mystery of the movie is I'm willing to bet he's under 21.
Okay. I have a couple.
Go right ahead. I'm curious because I couldn't really. That was the only one that really popped in my head.
Well, one of them was my goof, but we kind of explained it away as they have adamantium skeletons, but they don't seem very phased by the bee attack at the next day, which was kind of weird to me. But the second unsolved mystery is okay. So when they're breaking into the house and the Klopeks are coming home, they see somebody in the basement. Now, if I were mastermind murder and I wanted to hide my crime and I see somebody in my house committing a crime, why wouldn't I just blame them for killing people? I mean, they're already in my house using my incinerator. It's like, oh, I'm going to go to the cops and I'm going to say, hey, these guys are killing people in my incinerator. Like, why didn't they do that?
Well, they would have gotten
They're
away with it,
doctors.
but they found the remains in the trunk.
Yeah, that's true. But if they would have done that in the first place, though, I think that the cops would have just been like, okay, you're coming with us. You're not hanging out talking forever and ever about how you were breaking into the house. We're just going to take you down to the precinct right now. They would have gotten away with it, but they did not.
Well, that leads to another
They didn't think
segue.
ahead.
That leads to another question I have. I had this in my burning questions category, but I figured this is as good as any. Did Ray go to jail after the events of this movie? And I say that because technically he did blow up their house. That's destruction of property.
It is, yeah.
And plus breaking and entering. But he did help solve a major crime. Who knows how many fucking people the Klopeks have killed? And from the remains in that trunk, there's quite a few.
I think now I'm not legal or anybody from like, YouTube or a lawyer at all. But if I were a lawyer, what I would do is I would defend my client on those grounds, like, hey, he foiled this big murder, so you're gonna let him off with just like, I don't know, probation or something.
Yeah. Yeah, I thought about trying to Google a case to see if there's anything, but I'm sure there's no precedent. I should have just Googled hey, if I blow up my neighbor's house, but then come to find out said neighbors murdered people, am I free and clear?
Yeah, I mean, that's a very oddly specific Google search.
That might be one I'll type up on the old the laptop and use a VPN. That's just to play it safe. Hey, if I break into my neighbor's house and I blow it up because I hit a gas line, but then I find out the neighbors have killed a bunch of people, and I help them figure that out. What's that get me?
And then the NSA is going to come to your house because we all know that they listen in. They're be like, "Are you planning on blowing up anybody?"
They're not going to, dude. No one listens to this show.
The NSA might.
I doubt it.
Maybe.
I doubt it. But yeah, those are the two. So you're thinking probably the same thing I am. That Hanks is in trouble, but the penalty's probably not as severe considering.
Yeah.
What he was in the house for, he was right because they found the femur,
right,
and then that led them into to figure out where the femur come from, and so he probably got a slap on the wrist. I'm sure he probably had to pay for the house, but then I guess why would he though? Because the Klopeks aren't going to live there.
No, although
them motherfuckers are going to jail.
You can still sue somebody from jail, so maybe. I don't know.
This is the point of the show where I wish that I had a legal expert. You know how when you're watching the news, they have if you're watching say there's a big hurricane coming, obviously the news is going to bring in someone from the Weather Channel. If there's a major financial story, they're going to bring in someone from the Wall Street Journal, whatever, like Court TV, if that's still a thing. I guess it's not. Is Court TV a thing? I know they were, and then they weren't, and then they were.
Yeah, Court TV used to be, True TV used to be Court TV. Now it's True TV.
Okay.
So it's basically turned in from Court TV to the Impractical Jokers
network.
Channel.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
I miss Hardcore Pawn on that network. I used to watch that show all the time.
That was a good one too.
Yeah, it was Pawn Star's sleazy cousin. And I think that's why I liked it so much. Like, Pawn Stars just seems to be a little too up and up for my taste. I want something a little grimy.
Exactly.
Is there a pawn show out there that's just the right amount of sleaze? Like, the people are good, but there's just a little bit of sleaze to them.
Yeah.
Let's do that. I know the perfect place. It's in 8 Mile in Detroit.
Perfect.
But yeah, I wish we had someone that could, help us out. Like, hey, Chris Darden, you out there?
Yeah. Hey, like I said before, Legal from YouTube. Come do our show.
Okay, there we go. Or isn't there a guy? Yeah, I think the guy that owns runs TMZ used to be a lawyer too. So
yeah.
The most 1989 moment of the movie, my particular nominee is the fact that there is no internet for our characters to use to try to research the Klopeks.
Yep. That is definitely, and I don't know if this counts because it's not necessarily 89, but just the pizza dude in general. Just your classic pizza dude. You don't have like a DoorDasher delivering your pizza, or watching Jeopardy with Alex Trebek still alive.
Yeah, that's a good one too. But yeah, that was the first one coming to mind for me, is the fact that, like, if this were in 2024, they would have been looking him up, the Klopeks, up on Google.
Yeah. Also, literally all of the cars are that 80s boxy look, like that 80s, early 90s. Like, they look like they were cut out of a cardboard box, kind of sharp edges. Yeah.
Well, here's another thing too. Dr. Klopek, you figured he's according to the detective on the scene after the house blows up, very respected pathologist. Why is he driving such a shitty fucking car? Like, I can overlook the house because maybe they just moved in. They're waiting on contractors to get them estimates on, like, hey, how much is it going to cost for you to redo the porch? Like, there's some work that needs to be done around here. I understand that. But that fucking car he's driving looks like it barely runs.
Yeah, it sounds awful. And
yeah, it needs a belt replaced for sure.
They offered to buy the house from the previous tenants, but they didn't want to sell, so they killed them instead. So, I mean,
well, truth be told,
obviously were invested in the house.
Well, to be fair, if someone come up to my house right now and offered to buy it for me, driving that fucking heap that the Klopeks come rolling up in, I wouldn't take them seriously either.
Yeah.
Like, there's no way this guy's got money.
Right.
They're probably living out of that thing.
Yeah, and being the 80s, they probably were going to write a check. And I was like, I don't trust that check. Look at that car you drove.
Yeah, that fucking check ain't clearing. Let's be real.
Yeah, show me cash, or I'm not selling my house.
Yeah, cash rules everything around me. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, like show me some green, Dr. Klopek, if you're really a doctor.
Also, that house looked like it was in disrepair already. Like, and it looked like the yard had been dead for a while. Every other house looks super nice. I really want to know what the neighbors were like beforehand and why they didn't keep their house the way that everybody else did.
Right. I mean, like, that's why I was willing to overlook the house, because maybe they're just waiting on people to come and fix it up for them.
Right. Yeah.
I know that sometimes getting people there, there's no internet to do research on, hey, who's a good contractor in the area? Like, nope, I got to look this up in the phone book.
Yeah.
They obviously don't
In the
communicate with
phone
the people in the neighborhood that often. Yeah, see, we circled back to the phone book. Yeah, they don't really talk to the neighbors, so, I'm willing to overlook that. But, yeah, like, come on, dude. Like, you couldn't have gotten, like, an 87 Cadillac. That seriously looks like the fucking Oldsmobile Sam Raimi uses in the Evil Dead movies.
It does.
Was that an Oldsmobile? It's an Oldsmobile something. I forget the model of the car, but yeah, that thing's a fucking heap, and I don't understand it. It still bugs me 30 plus years later why he's driving that car.
The phones are super 1980s as well, being wall mounted like cord units too.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, I mean, it's just one step away from rotary phones.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah. But that's my 1989 moment, is no internet to research these creeps.
No internet. Yep. I mean, there was internet in the 80s, but let's be real, nobody used it. Nobody had a modem that they called in with a actual like phone and then switched it over.
See, like, that's why you're on the show, because I would have never in a million years known that the internet was around in 1989. Like, I thought it was when Al Gore made that big thing in 92. Like, hey, there's this new thing, the information superhighway. And all you have to do to get on that highway is head over to your local Kmart and get yourself a AOL disk. Plug your computer into your phone and just wait for it to dial up. Make sure mom and dad don't need to be on the phone, because if they are, you ain't getting on the information superhighway right now. You're not looking up dirty pictures on the internet.
No, you can't look at them at the blazing speed of 56K per second.
Yep. Yeah, you if mom's gonna make a phone call in 10 minutes, that naked picture of Pamela Anderson's not gonna upload in time. So just wait till mom gets off the phone. The hot off the presses take for the hottest take of the movie, presented by our fine friends at Books and Company and Barnes and Noble, where you can get your multimedia needs: Blu-rays, 4K Blu-rays, Funko Pops, ebooks, books on paper, and more. Be sure to head out to your local mall if you still have one. I know they're a relic of the past. Or be sure to shop online at barnesandnoble.com, or I'm guessing booksandcompany.com. I didn't bother to look up the address because we just come up with this on the fly. Do you have a hot take for this movie?
Hot take is no, I don't think I have one. I didn't think of one, and I can't think of one just like on the fly right now. So,
well, at first I was going to say that this, to me, is the best Tom Hanks movie pre-92, because Tom Hanks goes on to have arguably the greatest run for any actor or actress in the history of the industry, starting in 92. But I forgot he did Big, which he got an Oscar nomination for. Big is an iconic movie. And I believe Big was part of the Tom Hanks Couch Potato Podcast Hall of Fame, which you can listen to on Apple, Spotify, wherever you get your podcast. Cheap plug of the episode. Boom. It was going to be my hot take, but I don't really think this is a hot take, but I'm just going to say it anyways. I don't think this movie's good without Bruce Dern in it.
I can agree with that. Tom Hanks isn't funny enough by himself.
Yeah.
Maybe that's my hot take. I don't know.
I guess for another one, I could go without the art character. I don't find him to be funny at all. I think he's very annoying.
He's super annoying. Yeah.
But I think they kind of needed that to kind of balance out. Like, Ray is kind of like the lovable neighbor, the one that everybody likes, seems to be the leader of the neighborhood. And Art's kind of the brash one that, like, realistically, if he didn't have Ray as his next door neighbor, he probably wouldn't have any friends. But yeah,
probably.
To me,
I think that with Art and Ray, Ray wouldn't do any of the things that he did in this movie without Art. Like, the movie doesn't happen, even though I hate Art and I don't think that he contributed anything comedic to the movie. But yeah, you kind of need him to make Ray do what he doesn't want to do.
And I will say that I've had friends growing up that have told me, like, hey, your house or my house, your house. Make yourself at home, help yourself to whatever you like. But Art takes that to a whole fucking other level when he's just rummaging through the Peterson's fridge and just eating. Like, he takes fucking leftover ribs. I would have been super pissed off if someone would have taken, because I love barbecue ribs. One of my favorite meals in the entire world. If someone stole that out of my fridge, I would have fought Art over that.
So there was a neighbor that I had, same neighborhood with the townhouse, and the neighbors that we had ran a Chinese restaurant. They had a little girl the same age as my oldest, and she would come over and play with Madison, and she knew English well enough to play and to ask us if Madison was able to play. And she came and knocked on the door one time, and we said that, Madison's eating dinner, and she just walked in the house and said, "You got food in your fridge?" And she came into the house and opened up the fridge, like, "Yeah, we have food in our fridge. Can you please get out of it?" And we eventually, like, I think we gave her like a string cheese or something like that from the fridge and like kind of set her on her way. But yeah, she just barged into our house and like was raiding our fridge.
Friend of the show, Steven, who's been on the show a few times, when he was a little kid, kind of the same way, just kind of did whatever he wanted. Just go through your fucking house, rummage through your fridge, just take whatever he wanted. And his excuse was he said, "My mom said I could do it." Like, I'm pretty sure your fucking mom didn't tell you, like, "Hey, see what they've got in the fridge. See if there's anything good. And help yourself to it." I'm pretty sure your mom did not say that.
Anything that's in your friend's house is yours. Take it. That's what your mom said.
I'm afraid it does not work like that. But yeah, I didn't really have like a hot take for this movie. I mean, like, I really wish that Big would have come out after this, because then I think my hot take would have been better. But no, Big had come out in 88. Yeah, It was 88. So
yeah,
I guess I would say it's more like a lukewarm bath. It's just Bruce Dern. This movie doesn't work without Bruce Dern.
I like that hot take. It is a hot take because he's definitely not the biggest lead in the movie, but he's the funniest person in the movie. And I guess that would be my hot take as well, is like, Tom Hanks isn't funny in this movie without Bruce Dern in it, and Art. And I don't like the Art character, but some of the jokes that Art sets up for Tom Hanks are good. And so if he wasn't in the movie, Tom Hanks wouldn't have that foil, that he wouldn't have that setup to finish the joke.
Yeah, like, I don't know, like, I guess we're just, that hot take category is not really that controversial. Like, we would have said, this movie would have been better if, like, Ray would have murdered Art and blamed it on the Klopex. But then I'd just take a whole.
What? I honestly, that would be cool. I wouldn't hate that. They could make that funny.
Now the Burbs is taking a real dark turn. Ray is actually the murderer. Hall of Fame plaques. This is the category that if we had a Couch Potato Podcast Hall of Fame, and we were inducting these certain actors, would this particular film be on the Hall of Fame plaque for them? Tom Hanks, obviously not. This is
no
probably in his filmography, probably in the mid-20s. I mean, I love it, but
Yeah.
I wouldn't.
I tried to make a argument for it during our Tom Hanks podcast, but
Yeah, it
it's
didn't.
not.
It didn't. I think it ended up. It got as high as a maybe, but it didn't crack our top 10.
Right.
Let's see, Bruce Dern. I would say no. As good as he is in this, I mean, Bruce Dern's a very well-respected actor with, I think he's been in the business for 50 years. It recently was in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood.
Yeah.
He was George Spahn in that. So, and I think he's been he was in The Hateful Eight too. He was in Black Sunday from the 70s. Really cool terrorists try to take over the Super Bowl. Plot line for you football fans out there getting ready to Super Bowl, I forget the number, is coming up next Sunday. So, yeah,
Yep.
Bruce Dern wouldn't be on his Hall of Fame plaque. Carrie Fisher, obviously not. I mean, Star Wars.
I don't know of any other movie. I don't know of any other movie she's been in. What are you talking about? This is the only thing that I know her from.
Yeah. I knew her from this, and she's Debbie Reynolds' daughter.
Yeah. So,
Rick Dukeman, I would say yes, because I obviously did not know who Rick Dukeman was prior to this. I will be perfectly honest. Rick Dukeman's not going into a Couch Potato Podcast Hall of Fame. I actually just read that he passed away not too long ago.
Oh, did he? Oh, well. Well, I don't think that this is his moment to shine. I even liked him better in Groundhog Day and Die Hard. So
yeah, would not be on his Hall of Fame plaque. And then Corey Feldman, I would say no.
No, Corey Feldman's known for much more things.
What would
maybe
Corey
Stand
Feldman?
By Me?
Yeah, would it be Stand By Me?
Stand By Me, probably.
Yeah, because
like the.
I would say it would be that. I know he was in Gremlins.
Yeah.
But I would almost say, yeah, it'd have to be Stand By Me.
Mm-hmm. It's like the Gremlins is the movie and Stand By Me is the film, you know?
Yeah.
So.
Although, personal pick, I fucking love License to Drive with him and Corey Haim.
Oh.
That movie, it's fucking bad, but like that's one of those movies that I'm sure that if I sit and watch it now, it's probably not very good. But man, when I was a kid, I was absolutely in love with Heather Graham. She's the girl in that movie, and I just thought it was a really cool premise. I loved Corey Haim's mom and dad, Richard Macer and Carol Kane were his parents. Corey Feldman was Corey Haim's buddy. I really dug that movie. I'm sure it's probably not very good now, but that might have strong consideration if it were up to me. But no, it's got to be Stand By Me.
Yeah.
I had some burning questions here. I didn't think they were very good, simply because this movie really doesn't require a lot of thought. But
right.
But the few that I have, best use of the name Art. I think it's between this and Art the Clown from the Terrifier series.
Yes. Yep.
Best example of creepy neighbors.
Yeah.
I would think so.
I can't think of anything else.
I mean, this is the movie that I know, at least for like my generation and maybe yours as well, that like this is the movie that gets referenced when anyone thinks of like creepy neighbors. They always reference the Burbs movie because it's become a cult classic over time.
Yeah.
Let's see here. What else did I have? Does Ray go? Well, you already tried to answer. Does Ray go to jail after the events of this movie? The last one that I had, I was always curious on what Rumsfeld did in the military because he had all this fancy equipment, and he also tells Hans he would snap his neck in a heartbeat.
Yeah, he says that he spent so long in the bush. I'm assuming maybe it's like the time frame and everything. He was in Vietnam.
Yeah. I'm guessing he's probably special forces.
Yeah.
Or it makes me wonder if he's not one of those guys that didn't do anything and he talks a big game.
Yeah, he just has all that stuff but see, that's stolen valor, and that just makes him look like an asshole. So no,
Which he kind
I'm
of
going with
is.
he is, yeah, but I don't want to think of him as like the kind of guy that would steal valor. So
Yeah, fair enough. The Finding Forrester You're the Man Now Dog Award for the life lesson taken from this movie. I'm going to say just always be vigilant of your neighbors because you never know who's living in your neighborhood.
And also don't break into their house. If you suspect them of murder, call the police.
Well, first Google their last name and see if they've committed any crimes. Then call the police.
If their last name is Klopek,
Call the police. Don't even fucking Google it. Just call your local law enforcement agencies now.
Exactly.
And if there's 3 of them, lock your fucking doors. Like, they could be trying to kill you.
Yep. They got an incinerator. You'll never be found.
Yeah, biggest life lesson. If you have someone in your neighborhood with the last name Klopek or a Slavic last name, call the police. Well, hey, anything you want to add before we wrap this bad boy up?
I mean, if you haven't seen the Burbs and this is the first time you're hearing about it, hopefully you haven't made it this far because we just ruined the movie for you. But it's super old, so too bad for you. Go watch it. It's on Netflix. Go buy it if you don't want to, go on your streaming service and watch it first.
I'm willing, with spoilers, I'm willing to give it 5. I will give it 5 years.
Yeah.
I think in 5 years, that's plenty of time for you to sit down and take 2 hours out of your day to watch something. If it's been 5 years after that, then I'm sorry, but I'm not going to sit here and keep a fucking secret for a 30-year-old movie, 35-year-old movie. So,
yeah. Dumbledore's dead. Bruce Willis is also dead. And Thanos snapped everybody away. Sorry, everybody, but it happened. And it happened more than 5 years ago. So,
well, I guess, you just got that under the wire because Infinity War is 2018. So,
yeah, exactly.
Just under the wire. All right, gang.
But, go watch The Burbs. It's good.
Yep. Right now, check it out on Netflix. Who knows how long it's going to be there. So definitely rush out to check that out. And on that note, that wraps it up for today. Thanks for checking us out. Like I said, if you check out the links in the show description, you can find where you can follow us on social media. Be sure to follow us. That's where you get all the latest show updates. If you like what you heard today, please do us a small favor. Take a brief moment of your time. Leave us a 5-star review on Apple. That way helps the show get discovered. So if someone wants to look up, I don't know, what did Mark Rumsfeld do in the military? Maybe they'll find the Couch Potato Podcast. Who knows? So, but yeah, we do appreciate all of your support. And until next week, we will talk to you guys and gals later.